Alright, so we're going to cover day 2 of section 4.2, in which case we're going to talk about randomized block designs. So for the block, that's referring to a group of experimental units that are known to be similar. So then we use a randomized block design, so we separate subjects into blocks and then randomly assign to treatments within each block. And we'll go over that more in detail. And we also have matched pairs, where experiment used to compare two treatments that uses blocks of size 2. Two very similar experimental units are paired and then randomly assigned to a treatment. And we're going to go over that process as well. Alright? So we're mainly going to be covering the randomized block design and matched pairs, and just understand what a block is. Again, it's a group of experimental units that are known to be similar. So, for VMHS has decided to offer an SAT prep class again this year. It'll be offered in 2 different formats, online or classroom teacher. The counselors want to know which teaching method will yield higher SAT scores, so they have allowed us to set up an experiment. 50 students have signed up to take some form of the SAT prep class. In that case, that's 50 students. There's 20 seniors and 30 juniors. So start out here, it's wanting us to outline a completely randomized design to compare the 2 treatments. And with this, what are our 2 treatments? Well, hopefully, look up here, you can see that we have an online class or a classroom option for the SAT prep class. So for a completely randomized design, we started out with, again, we had 50 students, right? That's our starting number. So we got 50 students. Now, we're going to take these 50 students and we're going to randomly assign, right? So we're going to put them in a randomly assign. Right, random assignment. Alright, and out of this random assignment, of course, since we have 50, we want to split it into 2 equal-sized groups. So, of course, we're going to take group 1, which is going to be 25 students. And we're going to have group 2, which is going to be our other 25 students. Okay? And then we're going to set them up for our treatments. Now, it doesn't matter which group gets which treatment, shall we say. It doesn't mean group 1 is always going to be online, or group 1 is always going to be classroom teacher. We just need to assign the 2 treatment options to the groups. All right, so there's a group 1. Let's just go and say we're going to give them the online treatment. Okay, so for the treatment, we're going to say this one's online for group 1. They're going to get the online SAT prep class. The treatment we're going to give for group 2 is going to be the actual classroom, okay? So we're going to give them the classroom for the actual SAT prep class. And then what we're going to do is, after that, since we got the 2 treatments, then we're going to bring all the data back together and we're going to compare the SAT scores, right? Because that's what we're wanting to see if these help out with. We're wanting to know if the online treatment or the classroom treatment does better. So we're going to compare the SAT scores. So it says to outline a completely randomized design and to compare treatments. That is what you need to do. Again, this is a completely randomized design right here. Alright, so let's go on to number 2 here and see what that guy has. So for number 2, it says the counselors at VMHS hypothesized that the online versus classroom results could be greatly affected by the grade level of students that were put into each treatment group. They know that seniors generally score better on the SAT than juniors. How could we adjust our experiment to ensure that there is even split of seniors and juniors in each class? And so we need to draw an outline of the experiment with your modifications. So again, this is going to be a randomized block design. A randomized block design. So randomized block design. So we are going to take, again, we have 50 students overall, right? So we said we got 50 students. And that's what we're going to start with, 50 students. Now, out of those 50 students, let's scroll back up here a minute. Up at the very top there, it says we have 20 seniors and 30 juniors. So since we're going to make a randomized block design, and they want it to be equal for the seniors and the juniors to where we're testing to see which does better for which group, let's do this then. Let's go ahead and take our first block is going to be of our 20 seniors. And our other block is going to be of our 30 juniors. Okay, now just like we did previously up here under the random assignment, we want to do a random assignment for these guys, right? Because now we've got 20 seniors that we need to randomly assign. So a random assignment. Again, a random assignment for both blocks. Okay, so a random assignment. Now, again, we did random assignment, then broke it into 2 groups. And that's all we need for this one because we have 2 treatments, right? We have online and classroom. So again, on the seniors, we're going to take these guys and break them into 2 groups. So we're going to say, this is group 1A. That consists of 10 seniors and then group B, or 1B. Alright, let's start out. Let's say, I shouldn't say B because we're not in the B category. Let's go say, I'm sorry, say 2A. Alright, and we'll take our other 10 seniors. And then we're going to give them their treatments, right? So I'm going to say for group 1A, we're going to say this is online. And then for group 2A, we're going to say this is classroom. Okay. Now, with the juniors, we're doing the same thing. We're going to set this up into 2 groups. So I'm going to say group, we'll say 1B in this case, and we'll say that's 15 juniors. And then we'll say group 2B is the other 15 seniors. Okay, so then we're going to give them their treatments as well. And since we did group 1A is online, we do group 1B is online. And group 2B is classroom. Okay, and then we're going to want to bring all this data together and compare, right? But you need to make sure to draw your lines to connect a comparison of online and classroom between each block, right, that we did, and then we're going to bring that data all together to then compare SAT scores. So therefore, then we can compare the SAT scores between each block, the block of the seniors and the block of the juniors, to see which style of either online or classroom helped out the best for each grade level. So again, that's a randomized block design. Alright, so on number 3 here, we have the counselors are now worried that a student's GPA is certainly going to affect their SAT score. So let's look only at the juniors. We want to be sure that the different GPAs are being evenly distributed into 2 treatment groups. How can we be sure the GPAs are evenly distributed? Well, there's going to be one thing we can do here with this one, and this one is called a matched pair design. Matched pair design. Okay. So with a matched pair design, we're going to do this. We're going to order all students using their GPAs from least to greatest. So we're going to put them all in order from least to greatest, okay? Then we're going to take the 2 students with the highest GPAs. So the 2 students with the highest GPAs and pair them together. Then we use something simple as flipping a coin to assign 1 to online class and 1 to the classroom. Then we're going to repeat this process with the next 2 highest GPA students until we have all 30 juniors have been assigned. So we're taking the top 2, pairing them together, flipping a coin. One goes online, one goes to classroom. Then we take the next 2 highest, online, classroom. Then we take the next 2, and so forth until we have them all split up, okay? And that is called a matched pair design, in which case that would allow us to look at just the juniors in this case and be sure that their GPAs are being evenly distributed between the classrooms, because we're taking the top 2 and splitting them into the classrooms between online and actual face-to-face classroom teaching. All right. So again, definitely make note and understand about randomized block designs, okay, or blocks. When you think about a block, okay, that's a group of experimental units that are known to be similar. So in this case, when we dealt with our randomized block design for number 2 there, when we had our seniors and juniors, then granted they were both students in the school that are going to take the SAT, so they are experimental units that are known to be similar. They're both in the category of taking the SAT, so we're able to split them up into 2 blocks. We had a 20 seniors and a 30 juniors for one block. So we did a randomized block design, and we separate subjects into those blocks, which we did, and randomly assign the treatments, in which case our treatments in these examples were online class teaching or face-to-face class teaching. And then we went into our matched pair design, which went over pretty extensively as far as the number 3, right, where we used to compare the 2 treatments using blocks of size 2. So in other words, we took up the 2 top GPAs and split them, right? So definitely make note of this and understand that you can draw these out like this, okay? Or this setup here. If it is asked to outline a completely randomized design, you can do this. Not just on a test for me, but for the AP exam as well. If it asks you to outline a completely randomized design, this is what they're looking for. If it gives you an example, or a problem I should say, like a number 2 there, as far as needing you to split up a randomized block design, that's what they're going to be looking for. So definitely make note of this and keep track of this information because it's very important. Alright, so if you learned a little bit today, I'll see you next time.